Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salim Siddiqui. Thanks for watching the HotConflict.com video series. As you know, we do a lot of different things on the HotConflict.com website talking about different issues, and today happens to be Eid al-Akbar, the great celebration of the Muslims. And so I thought it would be a good idea to share a few of my thoughts that are going through my head as Muslims all over the world are celebrating this great celebration. Before I continue, I have to make a little bit of a disclaimer. This video is going to talk about some strange issues, and I'm going to possibly use some colorful language or say things that might be strange or foul, or use off-colored language, and I'll try to keep it at a minimum. And I possibly might break down and cry at any point, and that's only because some of the subject matter that I'm talking about is so deep and powerful that when you talk about it, it actually affects your soul. But we'll get more into that in a little bit. But I wanted to give that disclaimer so that everybody who's watching understands that from the very beginning. Secondly, I wanted to talk about another disclaimer, which is a lot of what I say is going to sound so strange, so ludicrous. I might sound like a lunatic or a madman. Some of the concepts and thoughts are going to seem so ridiculous and outlandish that people might feel very uncomfortable with some of the things I'm going to say. But I want you to rest assured that everything that I'm going to tell you is 100% true and based on my beliefs. Now, the reason why I gave that disclaimer is because a lot of times when we talk about the truth, it's sometimes very hard for people to accept the truth. It's heavy, it weighs, it's powerful. The way you understand the truth, though, is when somebody tells you something that is true, it's something that your insides recognize, and you straight away know. It should flash to you, or you should recognize it. Your inside should know it, or know it to be something that weighs, and so you feel it. And you might be a little bit averse to it. Now, this brings me to my third disclaimer. Because we're talking about the truth or subject matter that is so deep and heavy, it becomes incumbent upon me as an individual to say that I am in no way or shape or form superior or more wise or more knowledgeable than anyone else. I'm a human just like everyone else. I sin, I have problems, I have issues, we all do, we're all real people. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be searching for that truth. And so, I'm going to tell you something strange about the truth. And it's something that I've already disclosed to you in the disclaimers, is that sometimes when you're looking for the truth and searching for the truth, it comes from where you're not expecting it. Right? We all look at these stories of the old masters where the person goes to seek knowledge from the great learned people, and they teach them in a way that seems so strange that the person seeking knowledge is dumbfounded that the great knowledgeable one or enlightened person or prophet or the one sent by God teaches them things in a way that their understanding takes a long time to grasp. If you're open to things and looking for it in what I'm going to talk to you about today, there's a lot of it that you're going to need to think over and think about again. But if you're willing to be open and listen and see if you can hear a glimmer or try and find the truth in what I'm saying and figure out how you've got that or how that relates to you, then there's a chance. There's a small chance that you just might see the light. And so, as always, when people are talking about this concept, I thought, okay, today's Eid. This idea, what is Eid? Well, Muslims go to Eid, and I went to Eid this morning, and that's the celebration where Muslims all over the world are gathering together and they go to pray, and they're praying to God. As you know, Muslims believe that there is only one God, and this statement of faith of a Muslim is La ilaha illallah, meaning there's only one God. And so Muslims all over the world are getting together and praying in their families, and this concept of being together in family, and I started to think about some of these ideas. And I was thinking about what is Eid. Now, unfortunately, I live here in Houston, Texas. I don't say unfortunately I live in Houston, Texas. I meant, unfortunately, I went to the prayer today. And Houston has a large community in the United States, but the numbers were kind of down. And this is a little tidbit about the Muslim community. Well, Muslims have two religious celebrations annually, right? What are the Muslim holidays? Well, all societies and cultures have their holidays, and so this is important for us to pay attention. Because like I said, I'm going to be telling you the story. And so as I'm talking, I hope you're paying attention to the details. Well, all countries and societies and cultures or religions have their holidays. And so the two main holidays for the Muslim community is the Eid at the end of the month of Ramadan. And Ramadan is the month where we fast, and we have an Eid celebration at the end of that month. And then today's Eid, which was Eid al-Akbar, the great Eid, or Eid al-Adha, the Eid of sacrifice. But like I said, the numbers were kind of small, and I thought to myself, why is it that the numbers are always smaller on the Eid that is called the greater Eid, or the greater celebration? I mean, Muslims fast the whole month of Ramadan, and so at the end of Ramadan, the gathering is usually large. Today, the Eid was on a Monday, and so there's the situation, but, the gathering's always smaller, yet today's Eid is called the Great Eid. Why is it called the Great Eid? Anyway, but other than the Great Eid, Muslims all over the world got together, and there was a sermon, and the person gave a great sermon, and the Muslims prayed, and then also, at this time, during the Great Eid, where Muslims are praying all over the world, at the house of God in Mecca, the Kaaba that we call in Arabic, the Black House, which was built by Abraham and his son Ishmael, Muslims, 4 or 5 million there, are gathered to do a pilgrimage. And so I realized some strange ideas, and I thought today I should share some of the thoughts that have been going through my head about the importance of Eid and what it really means and why we call it Eid al-Akbar. Well, like I said, if I'm really going to tell you the truth, I can't say, well, here's Eid al-Akbar, it's the great Eid, and this is why it's the great Eid, because it just might not sound right. It might be a little tidbit. But if you really want to understand the truth, you have to learn it in the old-fashioned way. Somebody has got to tell you a story. Somebody has got to tell you the story. If you go back to all the ancient societies and cultures, and many people are talking about how the West is now beginning to be open to Eastern culture and Eastern philosophy, and included in that is like some of the Taoist philosophies and Buddhist philosophies and Tantric philosophies. Islam also gets thrown in there, but we'll talk about Islam and its representation later on in the story. But this idea of being open to these spiritual concepts. Well, we're going to talk about spiritual concepts and some of the strange ideas that people have a soul, and that is true, that people have a soul. But for us to really understand what the truth is, you got to learn it the old-fashioned way. I remember when I was first in Saudi Arabia, and I was studying in the university. I went to Mecca U, for lack of a better word. The university is called Al-Qura University, and that means Mother of Cities, and it's a beautiful term, and it has importance in the story.